have a rest area by Minneapolis. Talk about urban. And I went and checked these cracks. They were real hard to read because of the direction of the flow of the water. There's not much of a slant to this driveway. But I found that the best gold here, and I don't have time to go everywhere, so I'm looking just for the best, is actually right in that curve. Because this is a fairly flat parking lot. But there's gold in here, and there's gold in this gravel that's right down here. Now there is scrapes along here. Looks like they might have had a street sweeper that came through, didn't do a good job, but there's a lot of gold in there. As a matter of fact, I see a lot of glistening in there, and I tested it. It is gold, so I'm going to go along here and sweep this up. But so for flat driveways, you know, the water really doesn't do much for flowing this way. And they've got a drain right there, and they've got another drain right here, so there's not much of a horizontal flow. So there is actually gold sitting in that fine powder. Well, I scraped up and filled a 54 fluid ounce container like this with the stuff from the Minneapolis curb there. And down in there you can see a lot of microfines. I'm getting a little better at panning this stuff out. Still need to work at it. And I did this really quickly too, so I've got a lot of it still in my black oil pan. But you can see in there, there's a lot of microfines. Fun! This is the pannings off of a curb in a rest area in New York. I wanted to mention several things here. You can see I'm actually getting a little bit better at my panning. But when you do your panning, because we're dealing with micro gold, you need to add soap or jet dry to the water. And I use either shampoo or dish detergent or jet dry. But you want enough so that it breaks the surface tension so your micro gold doesn't float away. But you don't want so much that you get suds, because that will interfere too with what you're doing. Another thing, you can see I've got some pretty good results off of this pan here, but oftentimes I see these micro, or actually larger pieces, and you get all excited thinking, man, I got nuggets. And a lot of times what these larger pieces are is stainless steel that's coated with gold, and this is out of cell phones and computer motherboards. Oftentimes, if people lose their cell phones, they get run over and broken up into many pieces, and these pieces come out, and you'll get all excited about it, but oftentimes there's a stainless steel core in it. And I check it for chromium, because apparently that stainless they use does have a lot of chromium in it. So if I find chromium in it, it's like, ah, goodness, it's just on the surface of it. So that's something else to consider when you see wires, or when you see larger pieces like that, is it might be out of a cell phone or a computer. This parking lot was the exception to the rule. It has tar. It's a very porous tar. And when I came in here, I immediately went to the drain, and this is a kind of a catch-all drain there, and I went and checked, and there was very little gold in there. So yeah, then I thought, well, it must be along the curb then, and there was very little gold along the curb. And there's another area there, and I thought, well, where in the world is the gold? Because I always find gold. And then I sent out the tracking field, and the tracking field was going up here. And what we have, I don't know if you can see this or not, I was brushing it up, is as the water flows down here, there are gravel deposits. This place is not swept up very well at all. And because the tar is very porous, rough, the gold is not moving too fast. It's going from dip to dip to dip. So even in torrential rains, there's not much force on the gold itself, and so it just tumbles along until it gets to the edge of these gravel deposits, and there it stops. So what I did is I I found it on the leading edge, the upwater edge of these gravel deposits, and these are real thin and they're black on black, so they're really hard to see, but you can see where I swept them up all along here, and I got good gold out of it. And even down here where this wash comes in, there was gold right there. And here another leading spot. But this was a fascinating one because I started at the drain. I followed all my rules, and it wasn't at the drain and it wasn't on the curb, but it was out here on the leading edge of these gravel deposits, and you can actually see where the water flows through these and pushes them back. So this is an interesting exception to the rule. And this particular gold that I got here, it was a silvery gold because it was a mix of gold, silver, and platinum. So it was really interesting, and it wasn't it was a little bit lighter than regular gold. I mean, it still went in with the heavies and the black sand. The other thing that was interesting too was there was a lot of pyrite with this stuff. So as I was panning it out, and I'm just showing you this edge here between the tar and the gravel deposits, as I was panning the stuff out, the pyrite would jump out at you, this beautiful yellowy stuff. But when I did my wash and tap, when I would wash the material forward and then tap it back, the pyrite just went right to the bottom of the bowl, and the bottom of the pan, and the gold went right up to the top. But it was odd because the gold itself, being more silvery, mixed the black sand. When I was doing my wash and tap, just suddenly I would get this, it looked like pepper walking to the top of the pan between the black sands and the silver of the gold. So sometimes you're going to be getting gold, but it actually will be silver in color because of the impurities in it. This is some of what I panned out of that parking lot. Panned it wet, and then I let it dry up here, and this helps to sort out the small rocks, which is difficult to pan out. But when you put it into here, and you just lift it up, just give it a little bit of a tilt and then tap it, you can see that the small rocks just want to roll out. Now, because this is impure gold, it's not as heavy as a regular gold. It's looks silver. It's got gold, silver, and platinum in it, and so it will tend to come down with the regular rocks also. A little bit of it will, but I always save the rocks that come down here anyway and throw them into the next pan, because you always do end up with gold down here, especially if it's more of a round gold. But you can see just by tipping it, and if you get too much gold coming down, then just tip it away from you a little bit. But you can see that is really doing a good job of separating out the rocks that want to roll. And you can turn that a little bit, and you can also see the silver color to that gold, because that's a mix of silver, gold, and platinum. Yep, there it is. Let me spread this out here so you get a good glimpse of what was in that parking lot. That's pretty stuff. Won't complain about that. So often people go down to rivers and spend the whole day looking for gold and don't come home with anything. You know how sweet it is just to step outside of my truck and look over the parking lot or driveway, or send out a tracking field, go out, get a little pan of gold, and end up with stuff like that. That's fun. Every street, every parking lot is different, and I show you these different ones to show you how to read the parking lot, because it's like reading a river. Now this parking lot here is fairly flat. It's got a few low spots in it. It does have the feature of gravel over here that will be drug out by the trailers, and so a lot of the gravel that comes out will not have high concentrations of gold in it. It's not the same as the stuff that's being broken loose. There is a drain here, which I went and checked it, and there is gold around there, but because of the slow, gradual slope of this, even the normal cracks that would go with the water might not be flowing very fast over them, so even cracks that are going with the flow of the water might have gold in them. I did check here. There's a slow slope to the cement pad, and wherever cement and tar meet, there tends to be seams. And the slow slope, you can see we've got a low spot here, and there's nothing in that because the tires can get down in that, so it's always blowing everything out of it. But as this slow gradual cement slopes down, there's spots here, and most of that water is flowing this way. And I went and I checked down in here in this crack, which is the low end of this, and there is good gold in here. And also down in here into this sand here, there's good gold, and a bunch of good cracks here. So I've got myself a little bit of work to do, but it really takes a bit to learn how to read a river or read a parking lot or a street to figure out where the gold is and where the gold is not. Take a look at this section of parking lot. Here we have two holes, and the one there, you can see it's breaking up. That means that tires are able to get in there and to cause pressure to spray out, so there's not going to be any gold in that. But here you see we've got, you can actually see the color change from the water that's been accumulating there. The tires have not been able to force that out because of the cracks, so there's going to be gold in there. So I'm going to dig that up, and I might dig up around that one, but not in the pothole itself. Well, I've been working this parking lot here. This is my first pan out of it, and you can see I've gotten better with my panning after I learned how to do the tap and wash routine. And I was really surprised. I was impressed with what I found in this panning here. A lot of little micros, and then you see that big chunk of stuff there. I thought, what in the world is that? Because it's a silvery in color. I thought, well, maybe it is. Maybe it's pyrite. So I took a pliers and squeezed it, and it was soft, and I checked it. It was not lead. It read as gold, platinum, and magnesium. So what gold, platinum, and magnesium are doing hanging out together, I'm not exactly sure, but I'll have to check that one out. But yeah, that's pretty good shiny for your first pan of gold, or first panning. And my pan's not too big, and I only fill it halfway. So hey, lots of fun. Well, today I had a little bit of time, and I noticed now that they have, on this parking lot, they have these trailers pulled away so I can actually see what's underneath it. And there is just sand all over the place here, and it's very hard to figure out where the gold is, as far as like predicting where the gold will be. There's a drain down there, and I went in here earlier, and it's interesting. I had to do an interesting routine in here. Use this for my pointer or my dowsing rod, and got out my pendulum, and the tracking field would come off the tip of this, so I would just, it would lock on, and it would go to the vertical fields. Let me take my bucket with me here, and let's go see where this goes to us. And it's going to go to the vertical matrix columns, and I just have to follow it. Now what it's doing is it's going from highest gold concentration to the next gold concentration. As I sweep one up, then it will pick up another one, and hopefully it's not going down that drain, because I can't go down there. And let's see, right, see, the thing stopped. That means that the tracking field has bumped into the vertical matrix column. So let me give it the message for gold, and it's picking up gold. Now that will be straight below me. So let's go down, and in all this muck here, gold, it's right, it's picking up a concentration of gold right there. So we will sweep up that particular spot of the muck. And the thing that's odd here is there's so much deposits here that as one area will get deposited and build up, then the streams will change their course like a river. And so there's no way by looking at it right now that I can determine where the gold should be. I cannot predict it. But we got that up. Let's see, gold. Looks like we got it. We'll just check the bucket. Yeah, we got gold. Good. And normally when I'm doing this by myself, I don't say gold. Well, sometimes will. Mostly I can just think it. But let's see where it goes next. But when I'm doing a video, I will say gold, because that way you know what in the world I'm doing, because otherwise it's a pretty boring video if I just... What you're seeing here is... Can you get there? Get it on camera. See, I've got the horizontal column, or the tracking field, and it hits right here. And let's give it the instruction for... And I'm sorry, I keep moving the camera here so it's not following this gold. So it's right below there. Where is it exactly? Right there. Not there. Not there. Just right there. Well, let's sweep that up. Okay. That's where knowing how to use a pendulum. Oftentimes people who use dowsing rods, they can get within an area, but they don't know the exact point. Oftentimes what I will do if I'm after gold, I will actually spread the material out in here and then find out what it's detecting, toss everything out until I can isolate what exactly it is that it's going after. Now here we're after the gold here is a low gold, so it looks silver, and it is gold and magnesium. And I've panned here before, and I just went and did a one pan out of this area and was very pleased with what I found. Of course, as you can see, this area has been developing, catching a lot of stuff, and hasn't been cleaned out lately. So, tell you what, let's go for another one. I'm going to use this thing for the sender instead of the broom. Gold. And it will come off the tip of the plastic here. We've got another... Well, I got to drag my bucket and broom with me. So let's see where this goes. Gold. We're going horizontal. And as soon as I hit... Oh, hit it already. The vertical column. Let's back up, see if the horizontal... As soon as I hit the vertical column, it will stop. And now we're going to give it the gold reading. So there it is. Now let's see where this goes. Gold. Gold. Right about where that white thing is. Let's make sure there's nothing there. Get rid of that. Gold. Right into that area there. Okay. Let's sweep that up. Yeah, the nice thing about this is with the pendulum, it takes the guesswork out of it, because otherwise you basically have to sweep up all the dirt. And this one here, there's no crevices or anything for it to fall in except for right around the drain itself. As a matter of fact, let me check it. Gold. No, that's odd. It's gold. I'm not getting gold in the drain. I think what we've got here is there is so much gravel built up around it that the gold is not making it down the drain. It's getting caught up in these gravel deposits, sand deposits. More. Let's see what we can find. Gold. Okay, we got one over here. Oh, not that far. Right. Gold. Okay, where is it down here? Gold. A little bit of a pocket. Right there. Let's sweep that up and then let's go process it. Okay. Gold. Okay, let's go process what we have here. Yeah, now that I have these screens processing, street gold is really easy now. Toss it into the 20. I just have a little sample here to show a video with how quickly this is. It doesn't matter, even a large sample, it processes pretty quickly. Let's shake this into the 20 mesh. And here's where a pendulum test works out really good, because if you don't know the size of the gold, you just ion tested gold, nothing, so you can throw that material away. And we've got this screen here. Shake that down. Gold, gold, nothing in there. Toss that out. And here this is the 100 mesh. And there's very little. I already pre-tested this material, and I panned one pan out already, and there was very little that got through the 100 mesh. Not enough to have to worry about catching it, and that allows for a lot of the dust and stuff to pass through the 100 mesh. And let's check here. Gold, there we go. And just to show something here, magnesium. Yeah, we got magnesium in there too. And carbon, the black sands around here tend to be carbon. So this is the material that I have. Let's see, gold. Yeah, not much at all. So, like that, we're down to this size. Toss that in there. Add a little jet dry. Add a little water. There we go. Now we're going to pan into another pan. What I'm going to be doing here is just stratifying, and I'm doing just a small amount to do a demo here. Stratify, and I'm pouring the top off, and I'm trying a different technique here, and I keep trying different techniques. There's nothing wrong with that. Is getting it to stratify and settle, and then pour the rest of it off. And you can even use the small riffles there to get the top material to pour off, because the riffles will catch any of the bottom material. So we're gonna and what's happening at this left pan is that the sediment and stuff settles to the bottom, so we get cleaner water toward the top. So you pour off the cleaner water back in there, stratify it, and then pour off what's on the top. There, that's about enough for what we have to do. Now I'm going to add a little bit of clean water in here so we can see what we're doing. Get it cleaned out of the riffles. Maybe a little more. Then we're going to do a wash and tap. I don't know if you can see it in there or not, but the black sands are staying at the top. I'm not even going to run a magnet through it, because I'm going to do that later. I'm even tempted to put all this into a furnace and melt it out. And in that case, a little bit of iron in there wouldn't matter much at all. Yep, there we go. Let's see if we can get more of that sand out of there. And what I've been finding too is that when the stuff starts to separate out here, I can tip it forward to where the water level goes to where I want it, to where I want to separate the stuff off, and then that area, once I get the water up to whatever level I want to take out, then I tap it sideways. And this stuff up here, because it doesn't have water, will not move. And the stuff down here will move out of the way, and I can actually pour it off. Right now, all I want to do is go back up in there and look at that, and there is, yeah, there's some nice material in there. I don't know if you can see that shining in there or not. It's washing pretty good. Yeah, there's some microfines up in there. That didn't take much work at all, but using the pendulum I could track where in the gravel it was and go from concentration to concentration and end up with color in the pan. Hey, fun. There we go. That's what the pendulum was so excited about. That's what we were picking up in those matrix columns. That is gold, and it's a low gold. It's mixed with magnesium. Yeah, that's makes it pretty easy for street gold if you can use a pendulum and find out where the concentrations are at and just go from concentration to concentration. But that wash really is a microcosm of the history of a river, because as a river changes its course, it will leave gravel deposits and gold concentrations in areas where you don't expect to find it. So when you're working in an area where there's a river, you have to think back 100 or 1,000 or thousands of years of where that river used to flow, and even after floods and stuff, and where the old gravel bars are, because they could be high and quite a distance away from the present river as it changes its course and digs itself further into the valley. So that's where using a dowsing rod or a pendulum can help you look for those high and dry, buried or out of the way gravel bars. I have seen in some places where as the river changes course, it will drop many feet of clay or sand over the gravel bars that contain the gold as it changes its course, and it can also dig its way down into the valley. And so it's kind of surprising where you can find these old gravel bars from the river. But yeah, that's what the pendulum was so excited about, picking that stuff up out of that muck. Lots of fun.